So with less than a month to go now until the Berlin Wall 100 return, I'm on holiday in Puglia for a couple of weeks with the family. Most of the days here so far have been well beyond 30 degrees by about 8 o'clock in the morning. So it is hot and I have to get some work done here to try and keep my training going. So I'm out running in the 34-degree heat, just trying to do an hour each day to keep it ticking over. That's hard. It's okay up until about 5 miles, and then those last 2 miles always, and then the heat just starts to really bite. But that was a bit faster than yesterday. But wow, hopefully this will pay off a little bit in Berlin when it's hot during the middle of the day. This will give me a little bit extra, but I am drenched. That's my 6th or 5th run out here done. Gradually building the distance. I started out, well, with like a 6 miler actually. I've been doing 6, 6, 6. Yesterday I did an 8. Today I did a 10. Consistently basically in 34, 33, 35 degrees. Today was no different. A bit of wind sort of took some of the edge off. But, I mean, it's hot and it's hard to clock those miles out here. Big old dusty roads running through these olive fields here. Beautiful rich red earth and stuff, and it is really lovely, and the route that I've now found is much better, but boy does that take some mental digging in. And with Berlin not long away, and you know, asking the question, how am I going to build towards the 100 miles out here, I can't really do the long distance that I wanted to for the next 2 weeks, so I'm really just focusing on building the mental strength. And you know, there's a good chance when we get to Berlin in the middle of the day we're going to meet some of the temperatures like this, so I think this is going to serve me well, just getting myself ready, getting the body acclimatized to the heat, running through it and working, but also just having to dig, just having to focus, you know, really lock in mentally and stay with it and hold on. It's the only way I can describe it. When it's really hurting, you really want to stop, and it's very hard to put in or maintain a pace or keep moving and not just come to a complete standstill. You've got to lock in and hold on, and that's a mental muscle you're testing as much as, or training as much as it is a physical muscle. And yeah, so these runs have been good for that, but boy is that hot out there. Jesus, I've just put down 10 Ks in about 45 minutes or something out here in 34 degrees. Wow, that is hard. I've got a mile to go home. I'm broken now, gonna have to do a little walk. That is digging. I just wanted to see what it was like to push the tempo, and boy, wow, that's a struggle. All right for the first few, but then those last few I'm digging and digging and digging. I can feel pace slowing, heart working, just mind going overdrive trying to get me through it. Jesus, that is hard work. Back running the big tarmac, braving my way on the Italian roads because all of the beach clubs own the coastline. It's like a throwback to Bulgaria and Serbia and Romania. So a few thoughts on Berlin and the upcoming race then. Obviously last year I think I got to 69 miles, 31 to go. Everyone knows, just like the marathon starts at 20 miles or a half marathon starts at 10 miles, the 100 miler definitely starts at 70 miles. So I didn't quite hit that point, but when I finished and had to step off the course, I was actually feeling strong in my body. I was feeling quite controlled, but my toes were absolutely battered and shot. So I basically didn't push beyond and send myself to A&E with those. But it was an interesting race, and I've been thinking back over how I approached it last year. I had a look at my splits, and in my head I felt like I'd gone out too fast last year. I think I pushed too hard, there was too much intensity. I felt like I was driving too much in the early part of the race, and I ran with a couple of other people, so I wasn't necessarily running my own race, and that may be partly why I felt like that. Actually, the splits don't really show that. I don't think I was running much faster than I would really aim, which is, I like to kind of try and do these things moving in chunks of 5 miles an hour. If I can move at 5 miles an hour, the whole thing, well, it's going to take me 20 hours. That didn't quite work out, and I did slow towards the last part, and you've got to build in chunks of time at the aid stations. There were parts early on last year where I felt really broken quite early. Feet were gone, body was a bit broken by about halfway even, and I was struggling. So you've got to ride those waves, and it came good in the end at parts. So you never know when the bad bits are going to come, when the good bits are going to come, and you've just got to keep on trucking. Now, one thing I know is that I want to move this year with consistency, and that means going from quite a steady pace from start to finish. And whether that steady pace is enough to do 24 hours or whatever, I don't want it to change too much. I don't want to feel that drop off in the second half. I'd like to move just with consistency. The other thing, there are many aid stations in this. I think they've moved them to be every 5 kilometers. So when it comes to water and access to food and fuel, we are not going to have a problem. We've got lots of opportunities, but with that comes the opportunity to stop and dawdle a lot. And I think particularly in the early part, I think I'm going to move through those aid stations with some intent. I'm not going to stop at all of them. I'm not going to overdrink. I'm not going to overeat. I just want to keep moving with consistency. You know, a minute here, a minute there, maybe. That will do me. So that's another big change that I'm going to make, is just to move with consistency. Then halfway, there's a big bag drop point where you can, you know, last year one thing that really worked for me was changing all of my clothes, changing my shoes and socks, wet wipes, you know, just give myself a good clean down and freshen up, brush my teeth. And it went out and sent me out like a new runner. So I'll be using that again. My last 100 miler that I finished, my one and only 100 miler that I finished, in fact, I ran it in 26 hours, I think. I'd really love to beat that. I mean, I'd love to get round in under 24. That would be considered a win. I mean, I'll finish the race and I'll take that. That's my A goal finish. But under 24 would be lovely. So when it comes to race strategy, I think if you've been watching this channel for the last few months, you'll kind of start to see one common theme with me. And it's A, that I run on feel, but also B, that I like to keep things really, really nice and simple. And so for simplicity's sake, I'm going to run on feel, I'm going to move as I can, and I'm just going to try and stick, I think, to that 5 miles per hour. It's a really nice way of moving, because it actually means you can even run 4 of those miles and walk 1, and you still manage to get in under the hour, and you're moving with consistency and at pace, you know, that gives you that feeling of momentum. You know where you're at, 5 miles an hour, tick, 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 break it up into those chunks, and that's basically how you get round. If I get to 70 miles and the body feels strong, or even closer than that maybe, we can push on a little bit. But that's it. Overall, I mean, I'm feeling excited for it. It's always a good sign. I'm I'm looking forward to it. My training's been largely the same as last year. I've not done a structured sort of coach plan to do 100 miles. I've sort of incrementally trained my way up via half marathons, the marathon, through the comrades, and finishing off with this 2-week sort of set of heat training here in Puglia. And yeah, I think the last 2 weeks will just be ticking over miles, trying to get to the start line fresh, without a cold, or a stomach bug, which is something I had last year, and just pray for a day that's not 4,000 degrees in Berlin.